everyone. It is late at night and I am Norman. Many of you may have seen my vacation vlog that I recently did. My wife and I went to Greece in a 1-year belated celebration of our 25th anniversary. And I'm going to have to do a video of some of the stories and watch spotting that occurred during that trip. So many crazy watches that I saw out in the wild. It was pretty cool. And an interesting AD story too. Yeah, I'll definitely have to do that video. But on this trip, I took 3 watches with me. The Armida dive watch, which I actually got to swim in the Aegean Sea with. So I got to utilize this one. Such a cool watch. I absolutely love Milsub watches. So cool having one in the collection again. I also took the Smith's Everest Gilt Dial. This watch is so cool. And I actually wore this for most of the vacation. I probably could have just brought this watch and been perfectly fine. And I also brought my absolute favorite watch, the Polerouter. And I wore this on our anniversary for dinner and a couple other occasions where we were shopping or having dinner in restaurants and whatnot. This watch is just absolutely gorgeous. Pretty much every time I see it in the watch box, I want to put it on. You will see aspects of this aesthetic in other watches that I buy because this is just the style that I personally love. With that silver band around the edge of the dial, and I love crosshairs. I need to get more. But during this trip, something happened near the end of our vacation. We were out and about walking all day long in the heat, and Greece was very warm at the time that we went. In fact, when we were flying home, our luggage was full of clothing that was still wet from walking around sweating in them. So gross. So I was wearing the Polerouter all day as we were visiting ancient sites and walking around in the sun. And when we got back to our hotel, where it was nice and cool, I noticed moisture on the inside of the crystal. So you may have heard about the ice trick for checking for moisture inside your watches, where you set your watch on a windowsill in the sun so that it warms up, and then you put an ice cube on top of the crystal, and you see how much moisture accumulates on the inside. Well, that's kind of what happened to the Polerouter when we got back to our hotel. It didn't look terrible, but there was definitely moisture in there. So at first I was thinking, being a vintage watch, maybe sweating profusely out in the heat in the sun, maybe some of that moisture got inside the watch. But as I reflected on it later, I think it may have always been there, and I ended up doing a different form of the ice trick, going from hours in the sun and the heat into our cool hotel room, and it just kind of condensated on the inside there. So I don't think it's terrible. I'm pretty sure that's just moisture that's been in there. However, when I got home, I had an epiphany. This is a vintage watch, so it's probably not water resistant at all. So I thought maybe I would try the phone trick, where if you drop your phone in water, you put it in a bowl of rice, right? So I actually took the Polerouter and put it in a bowl of rice for 2 days. So I had it just sitting there, hopefully drying out, and I was going to do a video a few days ago, but the weather here was just terrible, so I couldn't try the ice trick. But then, just the other day, the sun was out, so I set the watch out in the windowsill for about 10 minutes or so, and grabbed some ice and carefully set it on the crystal. I kept trying to slide off because it's kind of a rounded box crystal. So I had to kind of put it up against the window and carefully have the ice leaning a bit against the window there. And I let it sit on there for a few minutes. And sadly, when I pulled it off, there was still moisture on the inside. I was actually hoping that the bowl of rice trick would completely dry the watch out, but it didn't seem to work. So maybe the watch is sealed a bit better than I thought it was. Who knows? But yeah, if you try this weird hack that I thought of, just remember that there's dust and stuff in that rice, so you probably don't want to be popping your crown out to allow for it to pull that moisture out. It would only work with watches that don't have any kind of water resistance, and maybe it'll just kind of pull it out of the case, but you don't want that dust getting inside your watch. So don't intentionally provide gaps by pulling out crowns or anything like that. But I don't know, it was worth a try, but unfortunately it did not work. But yeah, I'll be doing a similar off-the-cuff video to this one, telling you all the stories from Greece, all the watch spotting, some of the cool stuff that I saw, some of the crazy watches that I saw on people's wrists, and some of the questions that raises. So be sure to keep your eyes open for that video, and thanks for watching.